Hi, Sarah Mueller here from Decluttering Club and Early Bird Mom, and I just wanted to hop on here this morning and take some questions and chat with you guys. We are about to hit 9,000 members in Declutter My Home private Facebook group, and I'm blown away because when I started that group 4 months ago, I had no idea that it would be such a huge that it would grow so quickly and that people would be doing so much work and just having these realizations of, the price that clutter is costing them and the burden that it's putting on their lives and how freeing it can be when when you let it go. It's just absolutely wonderful. So I'm really excited what's going on in that group. And I have some questions that people have sent in beforehand. But if you have questions, I would love it if you could pop them into the comments and I will try to hit all of them in the time that I have. And also, if someone is watching now, if you're watching and you're able to share this broadcast over to the Declutter My Home Facebook group, that would be really helpful too, because I know not everybody in the group follows the page. So if someone gets a chance, if you could share it, that would be really awesome. Okay, so let's see. I am going to get right into my questions here. The first one was from Monica Campbell, and she said, how do you get motivated and stay motivated? And that is a really good question, right? Isn't it? I think motivation is probably the key, right? It's all about attitude and emotions and feelings. And it's not really a question of being able to do the work. It's really a question about how you feel about the work and just getting started. And so I have a couple things that I can say about that. Let's see, let me just move this window over so I can see. Oh no, come on, technology. Don't you love technology? That's a big pain. Okay, so the thing about motivation is that you're probably not going to feel like getting started in decluttering. Nobody really wants to declutter, especially at the beginning. So the key there is to not wait until you're feeling motivated. If you're waiting to start decluttering or to get up and clean up the kitchen or whatever it is, clean out the closet, and you're waiting until you feel like it, you're taking the wrong approach, because nobody ever feels like doing these kinds of things. It's not fun. It's not, it's not exciting, although it is exciting once you get into it. But getting over that hump and getting started is absolutely the hardest part. So the key is, oh, thank you, Karen. Karen shared it for me. Awesome. Thank you. I really appreciate that. The key is to not expect to feel motivated and to do it anyways. And I watched a video, I think it was last week, and it was by a woman named Mel Robbins on YouTube. And she has some wonderful YouTube videos and they're super motivating. But what she said is that motivation is kind of a myth, and that nobody ever feels motivated to do stuff. So the way that you get things done is if you have that little urge or that thought, oh, okay, or if you've made plans, I'm going to, declutter the kitchen, or I'm going to clean up the fridge, or whatever it is. As soon as you have that thought, and if you're able, if you have the time, you're supposed to act on it right away. So what she said is that when you recognize that thought, then you start counting backwards from 5. So you go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then you just go, and you get up and you do it. And you disregard the need to be motivated, and it's like magic, and you find yourself doing things that you wouldn't have done before. So don't wait to feel motivated, just do it anyways. And once you take that first step and you just get started, you will find that it's so much easier to keep going. And then you've got momentum and you're feeling good about it, and you're saying, I really did want to do this. And so that will carry you through, but don't wait to feel motivated, and do it anyways. And then the second thing is that you really have to pace yourself, and you have to keep it into bite-sized pieces, and you have to reframe your expectations. So don't say, I need to declutter my whole house. That is a recipe for frustration and overwhelm. And it's really hard to keep going when you have really, really big goals. So the key is to break it down, and you can do that a couple different ways. You could just pick one area, like if, let's say you have half an hour, You look around, you pick one thing, and you get that done. And it's really small and really defined. So it's a shelf, it's a drawer, it's one pile. It's, maybe you say, I'm going to clean out the dishes in the sink. You pick one focused thing. And then if you have time, you can go on to the next one. But you don't make it a huge, giant project, because that is so overwhelming that you might not even get started. Or if you do get started, you make a bigger mess. And then the next time you're ready to do something, you're like, oh, last time it just was worse than when I started. So try to keep it small, especially at the beginning while you're kind of getting started and when you're getting used to doing this process and letting go and decluttering. Keep it focused. And that should help you stay motivated. And then the third thing is that you just share your struggles and your frustrations and your wins in our group, and you will get unbelievable feedback. I mean, I saw someone, she posted the other day that, she shared a picture of something she had done, and she got like 80 likes on that. Where else are you going to get 80 people to say, good job on, how you clean up your kitchen? Like, it's crazy. This is like the wonder of 2017, where other people will cheer you on for cleaning up. It's fantastic. And that is super motivating for me. I really thrive on that kind of feedback. So, if you like that kind of thing too, the more you share with people who are going to be supportive, the more that's going to kind of give you incentive to do it again next time and to enjoy it. Leanne says, I'm about to co-clean my fridge. Go, Leanne. Awesome. Well, you know what? Share a picture if you want. Share a picture and you'll get a whole bunch of thumbs up. It's crazy how that's motivating. And obviously, if you share it on your Facebook, your personal Facebook timeline, people will be like, okay, that's great. That's kind of weird. But when you share it in our group, you get lots of good feedback. So that's sort of the secret weapon, I think, for decluttering. I think that's why our group has grown so fast, because people need that encouragement and they need to see that they're not alone and that there's so many other people that are struggling with the same thing, right? So many people, when they join the group, they say, gosh, I kind of felt like I was the only one. I thought I was the only one who had this problem. My friends, their houses are all clean and I'm so frustrated and I'm kind of ashamed and I feel like I'm lazy, but I don't know how to get started. You're not lazy. You're not the only one, clearly. And you just have to find the right people to support you, encourage you. And then you get started even when you don't feel like it. And that is like the magic when it happens. You certainly don't want to overdo it either. Obviously, if you have health issues or, if you have little kids that are very demanding, you certainly have to pace yourself. So please, by all means, don't overdo it and, make yourself sick. Okay. So that was question one. By the way, thank you guys for joining. I'm so excited to have you guys here. We've got a bunch of people on right now. And, so feel free to pop your questions into the comments. Let's see. Karen said, I watch and record my own YouTube videos of people cleaning and decluttering. Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it? I don't know if it's a question of just getting new ideas, or when you see someone else excited about a clean space or about something they organized, it gives a lot of ideas and a lot of motivation for me too. I totally agree. Very, very helpful. Thank you for that. Where are you guys all from? I would love to know where you guys are dialing in from. I know that it is just going to go away. Oh dear. Okay, there we go. I know it's super early on the West Coast. It's like 9:48 in the morning for me here. So it's like mid-morning. And I'd love to hear, just pop in where you guys are from. And I'm going to try and do these Q&As at lots of different times so that people all around the world can have a time that works for them. I don't want anybody getting up early just to see me. There's always going to be replay, but it's just fun to hang out and chat, isn't it? That's what I love. I feel like the internet and Facebook is perfect for people like me who, I really love to talk and connect with people, but I also need quiet and downtime. And this gives me the perfect opportunity because I can talk to you guys, and then later on I can just turn things off and I'll have it nice and quiet before the kids come home and all hell breaks loose. That's it. So you know what, let me just give you a real quick introduction because I don't know if everybody knows me, and then I'll go on to the next questions. I'm Sarah Mueller, again, from Early Bird Mom and from Decluttering Club. And I have 4 boys. I'm a single mom, or soon to be single mom. And so you can imagine my life is super busy and there's just a lot going on, but I am super passionate about decluttering. See, Phyllis says she's from Alabama. Alabama, awesome. Must be hot down there, right? I did not always have a decluttered home, and I'm still working. We still have some clutter around here, but we've got it pretty much under control. And I realized probably maybe about 10 years ago, I kind of decided I was done trying to just organize things, because you can organize and organize and organize, and then you just discover you're just rearranging and things are not really any better than they were when you started. And that can be really frustrating. And I also realized we had some Christmas presents that just, the kids open the Christmas presents and they break instantly. And it's just such a waste, and I would see my kids, they would get Christmas presents and they would be abandoned within hours of opening. And I thought, this is such a waste of time and money and space. And I just really don't want to live like this anymore. So that kind of started my journey towards getting rid of things and just being content with less. So that's kind of the short story about how I got started. And there's lots more I can go into, but let me get back to the questions and we'll see how it goes here. All right. See, Phyllis, she left me a comment last night. She said, what are some tips for staying uncluttered once you've decluttered your house to keep things from becoming messy again? That is such a good question. I think the key to staying uncluttered, number one, is to realize and recognize where are your weak points. So do you find yourself like buying a lot of, gadgets or craft supplies, or I know with quilters, it's a real temptation to buy beautiful fabric. And so figure out where are your weak points and where is the mess coming from? Is it just from day-to-day living? And that kind of thing you probably can't avoid. You can make it easier to clean up, but that kind of thing is just a question of upkeep and maintenance. But if you're finding you're still bringing a lot of stuff into the home, or someone else is bringing a lot of stuff into the home, figure out where is that leak or that gap, and see if you can either, put a complete hold on buying XYZ kind of things for a while and see if that, how that goes. Or if you can't completely stop buying those kinds of things, then maybe give yourself a budget, either in terms of money or number of items, say, well, I'm only going to bring in, one new craft a month or one new craft a week or whatever it is. Figure out, where is the problem coming from? And that will help to keep the mess from reoccurring. And then also, I think it's just really appreciating and figuring out where your priorities are. Like for me, I love cleared off spaces. So I don't work really hard to get my kitchen cleared off, but it's just an absolute goal for me every day is to have my counters completely cleared off and, cleaned up and things like that. I don't like to have stuff piled up on it. So I just put it away, and it's just a natural progression, and it's not work for me because it's just, I really, really love to have that empty counter. So I think that is the key, is to realize, what's important to you and what kind of things bother you and where are you motivated to clean. And certainly try to prevent all the clutter from coming back in, and to keep to prevent the messes before they even start. There's lots we can talk about with family members too, because obviously you're not the only one who's making the messes in your home. So there's a lot more to that. But in general, I think to prevent, to see where the leaks are, and then to look around and figure out what you can do to prevent things from recurring. Okay, next question we have. Joanne said, Sandra says, here from California, working on decluttering from room to room. Awesome. Good morning from Brooklyn. Good morning, K.N. Thomas Jones. Phyllis says, my husband is a clothes addict. Oh boy, let's see. Let's pop this one up here. My husband is a clothes addict and buys hundreds of pairs of tennis shoes. Clothes is our worst problem. It's really hard when you have other people that do not have the same goals. It is really hard. And whether it's somebody who is like hoarder level, which I think hundreds of pairs of shoes is probably hoarder level, that's tough. I think, come on, let's see, a second ago. Okay. I would say that would be a question to have a real discussion and say, what are you trying to accomplish here? Why do you feel like you need all these shoes, and is this making you happy, or, what's the goal here, and see if you can get to the root of it. I was talking with my son this morning, and we were talking about how a lot of people feel like they're going to be happy if they get to, if they reach a certain goal. So like, let's say if I lose 10 pounds, that's going to make me happy. Or, if I figure out how to do my makeup perfectly, that's going to make me happy. Or if I get that bigger car or better house, that's going to make me happy. And that is such a lie. That is such a lie. And everybody buys into that. And I really encourage you personally to think about those catch yourself with those thoughts and maybe talk about it with your loved ones. You're not going to be happier when you lose those 10 pounds or you get the bigger house or the bigger car. You're not. And you're going to feel maybe even more empty inside. And the key to happiness is not in your appearance or your things. It's really in how you feel about yourself and your attitude towards life. And so you can feel good right now, right this very minute, without having those things or, losing that weight. Yeah, Jen says that's what society is taught. It absolutely. And we have this our whole society is built around, I want to get more, and wait until I go on vacation, then I'll be happy. Or my kids will be so happy when summer comes. But you know what? They're not. They don't feel any different. And then they're just grouchy about something else. So it's so important to notice that and to refute that and say, no, I can be happy right this very minute. Maybe my life is not exactly the way I like it, but I can choose to be grateful and joyful for the things that I have. And when you think that and when you realize that, it's so powerful. It is so powerful, because then you don't need the house, and then you don't need to lose the weight, and you don't need the bigger car, and you don't need the 200 pairs of tennis shoes. And then something really cool happens is that you may start making better choices. So let's say I am personally trying to lose weight. I've got, more pounds than I care to admit that I would love to get rid of. But I'm trying not to focus so much on that. I'm trying to just be confident in who I am right now. And because I know that when I get to that confidence, then I will be able to make better choices, and I will have more self-control, and I won't need to, indulge in that ice cream or that chocolate. So it's kind of like the complete opposite of what we feel and what we're taught, that, when you get that thing, then you're going to be happy. Okay, we have some good mornings. Good morning, Katrina. Hello. Katrina's been around for a while. I know you've been in the group for a really long time. So thank you for tuning in. And Kathy said, good morning from Western New York. Sandra said, so true. We work at accumulating so much stuff over the years. Yeah, you don't need the stuff. You work so hard, right? You work like crazy, and then you're exhausted. So then you just zone out, and you probably eat more than you should, or you buy more than you should, or you're not active. And it's just this vicious cycle. So we are going to break this cycle in this group. And I'm so excited. Okay, so Phyllis said, you're so right. I've had the discussion with my hubby, but I will have him watch this video. Awesome. Well, tell him, if he is willing, that is huge, right? He just bought a Mercedes. Maybe he's trying to be happy. Maybe he is trying to be happy. I don't know. I know that unhappy people look in all kinds of areas for things that are going to make them happy. And I think that is the root of a lot of our problems. And so when you realize that you're not going to find it outside of yourself, you're just not, and that you already have it within yourself, then it just opens up a whole door. If he's willing to talk about it, that's amazing, because I know a lot of people, they just will not. So that's huge. If he's willing to discuss it, I think the more communication you can have, the better. The more you talk about your feelings and the more you ask these kind of questions, it's so effective. Absolutely. Okay, let's see. What else do we have here? Kelly said, I'd like to know how to teach family members how to see what needs to be done. That is a good thing, isn't it? I totally agree with that. We are working on that big time in my house. And my son has just come home from school. My son is rising junior, becoming a senior, and he's home from school early. See, Jen said, I have a book I read, When Spending Takes Place of Feeling. I do it too. Absolutely. Everybody is super competitive, and it just leaves you feeling empty, right? When spending takes the place of feeling. That sounds great. I'll have to find that one. That sounds like a good book. There's lots of people that don't feel like that, though. There really are. There's a lot of groups online on Facebook. There's one called the Non-Consumer Advocate, I believe. Super group people in there are really intent on just living with what they've got and enjoying life as it is without having to, go to that next level and consume and do more and things like that. Hi, Nick. Okay. Okay. So back to Kelly's question, how to teach family members how to see what needs to be done. That is a huge topic. A couple tips on that. I think that there's so much to be said on that one. I think for that one, it's really, really helpful if you have little kids to get them involved in the, from the beginning. So, 1-year-olds, 2-year-olds, 3-year-olds, if they can start to see this is just part of life. We cook, we make a mess, we clean it up. And not to worry too much about the cleanup, not to be too critical of their efforts, but to guide them along and just have them see this is part of everybody's life. This isn't only mom's job. This is part of being a family that we clean up. Secondly, having them see what needs to be done. You can put them in charge of cleanup. So you can say, you guys, it's your job to be you be the boss tonight. And you tell me what needs to happen, and you can make it a game. So, maybe you have a 10-year-old and you say, okay, you're going to be in charge of assigning the jobs for cleanup after dinner, and you still have to participate, but, have them look around and just tell you, what else do we need to do here, and have them think about it. And then, once they get used to doing that, put them in charge of cleaning up, or put them into teams. If you have a couple kids, 2 or 3 of them can clean up after dinner, and you can see how well they do. I think it's so important to keep the mood positive and encouraging. Like, you don't want to be super nagging, and you don't want to be like the grumpy mom who's always angry about people leaving a mess out. But at the same time, you don't want to do all the cleanup yourself either. So you really have to find that balance of being cheerful, but setting, drawing the line in the sand and saying, everybody needs to do this. Everybody needs to clean up their stuff. And what I did yesterday, I noticed my son's room was not up to expectations. So I just turned off his internet, and I didn't say anything to him. And he came from for school, and I said, your room needs a little work. And he said, is that why the internet is off? I said, yes, it is. And he's like, okay, fine. It's only going to take me 2 minutes to clean up. And it did only take 2 minutes. And I said, you know what? I don't want it to get that way. And you know how to clean it up. So you need to start caring. And the next time I find your room like that, the internet's going to be off for longer. I don't need to tell you to clean up your room. You know this. This is not hard. So it's a question of setting expectations, question of being pleasant about it. You don't want the kids to be like, oh, mom is always crabby. And yes. Hi. You want to come say hi? No. Okay.
I'm listening to your story.
You're listening to my story. Yeah. Well, I didn't name you. You weren't named. Okay. Just everybody needs to learn this stuff. And people who don't learn this stuff as kids, then they grow up to be adults who don't know how to clean up. And it's not fun. It's not good for anybody. So everybody just needs to pitch in. And maybe that looks like, every day at 4:00, everybody stops what they're doing and you spend 20 minutes cleaning up. And you don't stop. Nobody gets to go back to what they were doing until you look around and everything's cleaned up. And if you do it every day and you make it part of the habit, then it's not a big deal and it doesn't take that long. So there's a whole lot we could say about that. But those are some quick tips about that one. Okay, let's see. Katrina popped in and she said, instead of buying stuff, our family's going on vacation. I love it. That is awesome. Absolutely. They're going to remember that vacation forever, right? They'll probably remember that when they're 50 and they're going to love that. I'm going to do that this year too. I just stopped buying stuff for my kids because they don't need it. And they appreciate stuff more when they spend their own money on it. So they'll take better care of it and they appreciate it more. And then it doesn't cost you money. So that's awesome. Let's see. I have a couple more questions, but absolutely, you guys, pop things in the chat if you have more. Joanne yesterday sent me a message. She said, I need ideas for clearing our catch-all kitchen table of mostly mailers. Here, let me just paste that in so you guys can all see that. Okay, hubby's ongoing projects. Odds and ends so I can use it as a table. Okay, clearing off the kitchen table. Yeah, couple things. If it's mail, you definitely want to have a system for mail because mail is showing up every day. Right? And I'm going to talk a little bit in a couple minutes about our paperwork course that we have going on. Registration is open this week, and we do talk about mail in that course. But in general, mail needs to be handled as soon as possible. And that probably means like recycling all the junk. Just bring the mail in the house and recycle the junk right away so it never touches the table. You can also try to get rid of as much junk mail as possible. You can register to have your name taken off those lists, so that will help. If you get catalogs and magazines, try to cut down on those, maybe cancel your subscriptions. And call up the catalogs and tell them that you don't want them to send you the catalogs anymore. They will discontinue your subscriptions. So that will cut down big time on mail. And then you can also have like an inbox for the other people in the family. So if your husband has his own inbox somewhere that's not the kitchen table, that will help. And you can put his stuff in there and he can get to it when he has a chance. So ongoing projects are tricky. I guess it depends on what kind of project it is. If he can get in the habit of cleaning it up when he's not working on it, maybe there's a box he can put it in and then take it somewhere else so it's not in the way. But that's really a question of habits, and he's probably in the habit of leaving the stuff on the table and it's interfering. So you might need to designate a place for work in progress that you can either do the stuff in a different spot or clean it up when he's done, even if he's not done, but he's like done for that time period, move it and then get it back out later. That might help. Let's see a couple more comments. Jen says, any suggestions on how to get kids to clean up who never have? Oh boy, I'm a nanny, 13-10-3, houses hoarders. Oh dear. Well, I think it's hard if you're the nanny. I'm not sure how much authority you have. I asked a 3-year-old to do it. She throws it on the floor. Oh dear. I'm sorry. I feel for you, Jen. That's really tricky. I guess it really depends on, how much authority you have to get them to clean up. And if they're hoarder level, tough. I would probably institute a cleanup time, once, twice, 3 times a day. And, say, hey guys, let's go. Everybody go. Yeah, gross. Oh, I'm so sorry. You know what is actually working for my 10-year-old and my 6-year-old right now is I'm like, okay, last one to do, brush your teeth is a rotten egg. And they run like mad. They love this. And it's been working for weeks. They are so competitive. So, say, okay, last one upstairs is a rotten egg. And they run even though they have been dawdling like crazy. So if you could do like, you put on music, we got 5 minutes, you guys, let's race the timer and see how much trash we can pick up. And everybody goes and finds the trash. Or, let's go grab all the dishes. Everyone needs to go and find all the dishes in the house and bring them and load the dishwasher right now and make it quick and make it fun. Another thing you can do is you can use a construct. I learned this from Amy McCready of Positive Parenting Solutions. She has a whole course, but she talks about when, then. So when you have brought your dishes, then we will, read a book or go to the park or whatever. You tie the job into something they want to do. So then they're like, oh, well, I want to read the book or I want to go outside. So I guess I'll do that. So it's really, it ties the unpleasant thing in with the desired thing that they want to do. So it makes it easier. Again, I guess it's probably hard to put your foot down when you're the nanny. I'm not sure how much authority you have, but if you have authority, I would say by all means use it. No, you cannot watch TV and I'm taking your phone until we've cleaned up all the dishes in the house. Or no friends are over, or I'm not taking you anywhere until you've done X, Y, Z. You can set those kind of boundaries, and I would pick one thing to work on at a time. She never does laundry, just buys more clothes. Oh my gosh. Well, wow. Oh my gosh. Wow. Well, that's interesting. I don't know. I guess she must have a lot of disposable income to spend. Oh dear. That's tough. That's really hard. Katrina said, I would start with making a list of what you want to change and how you want to change them. Yeah. Explain that things have to change. Yeah. Work together. I mean, I'm thinking nobody really likes to live in a dump. They just think it's too much work to clean it up. And maybe there's a laziness aspect, but if you can figure out, what motivates them, and maybe put your foot down and say, you know what, I can't just be your complete maid. I'm not the trash man. I don't know. That's really tough. I apologize. I'm sorry for you. Buying more clothes instead of doing laundry. That's that's rough. Okay, let's see. We got a couple more questions and then I have to wrap it up. I'm running out of time. Okay, I had a question from Renee, and she said she wasn't going to be able to bank the chat, but she left the question: how to set realistic daily goals when I'm working a full-time job, maintenance for after an area is decluttered. Okay, that is a great question. So realistic daily goals for when working a full-time job. I think a big part of maintenance, whether you're super busy with a full-time job or you've got other things going on, is to build in habits. So, if you can do a ton in 5 minutes, literally you can. I can probably clean up my whole kitchen after breakfast in 5 minutes. You unload the dishwasher, that takes 2 or 3 minutes, load it back up and clear up the counters. You can do a ton in 5 minutes. And again, it's really a question of energy level and motivation. If you've already decluttered, it makes it so much easier to clean up. So every minute you spend decluttering, or every 10 minutes or every hour, is going to pay you back every single day for the rest of your life. So it's a huge investment that you can make. If you can find an hour on the weekend to do something and to clean out a cupboard, that will pay back later. It's so effective. So that will really help. And then, training the family members to clean up as they go, getting those kids to put the dishes in the dishwasher. Then you don't have to do it. And this is what I keep telling my kids over and over again. It's less work when you do it immediately. Like, it doesn't take any more effort to put that dish in the dishwasher than it does to put it next to the sink. It's the same thing, but you saved yourself time and you don't have to come back and do it later. Is really, really a question of habits, I think. And when something is a habit, it's not work anymore. That is the cool thing. When it's not a habit, it's a ton of work, right? Like, if you're not in the habit of cleaning up the kitchen, or if your kid has never cleaned up the kitchen, or your husband has never cleaned up the kitchen, it's a huge chore. But if it's a habit, then you don't even think about it, and you can think about other things, and it's just autopilot. So figure out what habits would be useful to you, and see if you can build in some more habits, and you can short circuit things. Katrina says the suggestion you made earlier about scheduling 15 to 20 minutes at the same time every day. Yeah, absolutely. Because then it becomes a habit, and you can get it in. And let's see. And it's so much easier. And again, it makes such a difference. It cracks me up when people say, I can't believe how much I can get done in 10 minutes. And you might be procrastinating an hour before you start doing a job, and then you realize, oh, it only took me, it only took me a couple of minutes to do this big job, and it looks so much better. Makes a huge difference. Okay, I am almost out of time here. I want to let you guys know, if you don't already know, we are running a course this week. Registration is open. I have a course called Household Paperwork Made Easy, because I'd asked in the group a few months ago and on my email list, what is your biggest problem? And everybody said papers. Papers are a nightmare. They have papers everywhere. There's mail, there's school paperwork, there's bills, and it's all jumbled up together. So I created a course, and it tells you step by step how you can go through and get your paperwork completely under control. And the best part is that it's bite-sized pieces. So it's not something that you have to, devote a week to or an entire day to, because nobody has that kind of time. So it's broken down into little tasks that you can do, maybe 1 or 2 a week. And by the end of the 6 weeks, you will have made a huge difference in your paperwork. I have the link here. No, that's not it. Where's my link? Okay. Here is the link that you can go and check out what's involved in the course. Again, registration is only open until this Friday at midnight. So if you're interested, you really need to take a look at it in the next couple of days. But it's going to be so much fun, and we're going to work through it together in the Facebook group. So we're going to be sharing our successes and asking questions, and we'll probably have a couple live Q&As if you have questions and if you run into trouble. But I have found that people who clean up their paperwork, it makes a huge difference. You can find bills, right? Like, you're not going to have bills go overdue because they were buried in a stack of paper. You're going to be able to return things. If you have a return, you can't find the receipt, then you're out that money. You're not going to be stressed out by having to look through the papers or looking at your kitchen is buried in papers. That problem is going to be gone. And I have systems in there that you can learn that will just make it so much easier to keep on top of it. I have a free lesson. Oop, that's not going to work. I have a free lesson. Let me find the link for that one that you can check out to see how the course works. There we go. Okay, you can click on that link, declutteringschool.com/paperwork-sneak-peek. And that will let you watch the first lesson in the course and get started. And I would love to see, your progress on that. But again, paperwork is such a huge problem for people. And when you solve that problem, it's so exciting. And then the results spill over into other areas of your life. So that is all good. Let's see. Okay, we have another comment here. Felicia said, every night's at 10 minutes, put on music, and everyone divides and conquers the house. Absolutely. It's just a part of life. And that's what everybody needs to learn. It's not punishment to clean up. It's not, it's a joy to make your home a nice place to be. And if you can communicate that to your kids, and if you can appreciate clean spaces, I'm always saying to my kids, oh, doesn't it feel great to have a clean house? Or isn't it nice when the living room is cleaned up? I'm constantly trying to reinforce, frequently trying to reinforce that feeling, because I want them to feel good when things are clean, so that they will work towards that and they'll be able to appreciate that. And that's just part of feeling good, right? Like, you don't need the stuff. You don't need to shop to feel good. You don't need to eat to feel good. You can feel good right now, and you don't have to wait for anything. And I don't know, I'm just really excited. I love, love, love talking to you guys. I love what you're doing in the group. I love how you're sharing your successes and you are encouraging each other. One of the things that a lot of people do when they join the group, if they're super overwhelmed with their clutter, is they just read and they encourage other people. And that is a huge step for themselves. If you aren't ready to declutter on your own, just encouraging someone else or giving them suggestions actually helps you too. And it starts to prepare your mind for letting go of things and decluttering. So if you feel like you're not quite ready to let things go, or you're overwhelmed with your own mess, start encouraging someone else and see what that does for you. All right, guys, I'm going to pop that one free, the other one. Where'd it go? Oh, lost it again. let me find that one more time. I'm going to pop that free lesson up so you can see that. I would love it if you would click through and check out the free lesson and check out the course because registration is ending on Friday. So that will be closed for the next few months. So I'm going to sign off now, and I thank you guys for hanging out with me, and we will do this again really soon. All right. Have a wonderful day.